Welcome back to your favorite Egyptian god card discussion channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reading one of the funniest slash worst comments I've ever seen posted on a video of my own. And I do want to mention that I think I've responded to comments on the Why Nobody Plays Egyptian God Cards video twice now. The first time I responded when it had like 200,000 views, about around there. Second time I responded was when it had 1 million views. It's currently at 1.3 million views, so it's still climbing, sort of inexplicably. I have no idea why it's still getting views. But I still get comments on this video every single day. And as I've mentioned this in previous videos, since like 200,000 views, all the comments have been hidden. And people don't realize that necessarily. It is a pinned comment, but the commenters don't seem to understand that, because what happens is that they can still comment, they can still write the whole comment, and they can still see it when they post it. It's just that other people can't see it, but I can see it. I have a whole folder on the YouTube sort of comment page where I can see the hidden comments, and so I still come across the same type of comments that we've been seeing for a while. I still come across people saying the Egyptian god cards are banned. I still come across people saying that they're immune to all card effects. Still the same kind of comments that I've been getting for now 1 million views worth of comments. And what I found today when I opened up the hidden comment folder, I suppose, was this comment that is so funny. I mean, it is. First off, I already posted this on Twitter, so if you've read it, sorry about that, you've been spoiled. But this comment is like 6 paragraphs long, or 5 paragraphs. Well, one paragraph's very long, but 5 paragraphs, and that is just, that's ridiculous for a YouTube comment. I can't think of any real situation other than like if you watch like an hour-long analysis video, maybe then you'll have like 5 paragraphs worth of stuff to comment. But on a 10-minute video about Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I don't know if there's ever any reason to comment this much, and especially because almost all of this comment, every single portion, seems to be wrong, which is hilarious. So I thought for today's video, I wasn't really planning on talking about the Egyptian god card comments anytime soon, but this comment has inspired me because it is so freaking funny that we just have to talk about it. And this reminds me of that greatest comment of 2018 video that I did way back at the very beginning 2018. I think this might overtake that comment for being the stupidest comment that I've ever read. So anyway, let's jump right in. And keep in mind, I know every single time I do these videos, and sorry I always do the intro too long, but every single time I do these, there's people that are saying that these people are just trolling the comment section just to get in these types of videos. I think you are overestimating how much these people care about watching my own videos. I would say the majority of people that are commenting on the Egyptian god card video have never seen any of my other videos and have no idea that their comments could make it into a video like this. I think that's a lot of people just don't realize that. Anyway, let's jump right in. So first off, I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh for probably 7 to 8 years, but can someone please explain to me again why Obelisk is a terrible card? It is immune to every card effect. So 2 sentences in, we're off to the first incorrect portion of this comment, because it's not immune to every card effect, and if you just read the card, you would realize that. When you normal summon it, it stays on the field. That's true. You can attack normally, and 4,000 attack, 4,000 defense is pretty good. Sure. So why exactly is this card terrible? Well, it's terrible because you already messed up a portion of its effect, because this video explanation doesn't really make sense to me. Of course it doesn't. You're not very smart. First, the part from 3 minutes. Why do you only emphasize that you lose 3 monsters for the sacrifice? Yeah, sure, you sacrifice 3, but you get a way stronger monster that puts up an almost impossible to overcome barrier, because rarely any monster goes above 4,000 attack, and no spell card can make Obelisk disappear, which is the reason why your statement from 317 is wrong. So that's sort of the first opening paragraph, and we're not to the juicy parts of this comment. But what's funny about this is that he seems to understand. He seems to, as he's watched the video, he's understood what I've said. Well, he doesn't understand why I've said them, but he hears what I'm saying. He hears that I've said that taking a -3 for something Obelisk is bad. He's hears that I've said, like, oh, you can use cards like Darkholme or Force to get rid of them, but he doesn't quite understand what those words mean in that context. And I think that when we really look at this comment, what you'll notice is that this whole comment is sort of started on that idea that Obelisk is immune to card effects, which it's not. And if this person could just read the card, which, keep in mind, is on the screen during the entire video, if they just read the card, or if they watched any of the other videos where I explain these cards, they would realize that it isn't immune to every card effect. That's not what it does. Anyway, the next paragraph says, in general, your gameplay example is completely wrong. 1, you make it look as if Obelisk is non-existent. You only mention the loss of 3 normal monsters, pretend as if there is not an immune card with 4,000 attack and defense in the field, and I don't really get why. Well, the reason why is very simply that there is not an immune card with 4,000 attack and defense. There's a card that can't be targeted with 4,000 attack and defense. I don't know about you, but it's better than having 1 ass-kicking card on the field than have 3 fodder cards on the field. I can agree with you on that portion. It's just that the card you're summoning isn't much better than the fodder cards. Then you contradict yourself, as mentioned, by claiming your opponent could get rid of Obelisk easily by using cards like Mere Force or Black Hole. Just as a side note, anytime someone writes Black Hole, you can pretty much just completely disregard their entire comment. This is something that I've just noticed over reading thousands upon thousands of comments over the past year. Almost every time someone writes Black Hole and not Dark Hole, you can tell that they're not going to know anything about the game. Just sort of a side note. Anyway, aside from the fact that this entire example loses its point when your opponent doesn't have such card, you could even make the statement at this timestamp, and here you make such an obvious contradiction, I don't get how you could miss it. It's because you're stupid. You can say you said the opponent could get rid of Obelisk by using Black Hole or Mere Force, which, as I said, is BS. And then you explain that the reason why this can be done is because he is immune. I mean, what? And you say, and then he quotes me here, and I don't get how someone can write down a quote from me and not understand why they are wrong. But he writes, now I mention Obelisk can be taken out by Dark Hole Mere Force, and that's because it does have some sort of neat protection effect, so Obelisk can't be targeted by spells, traps, or card effects. Do you even logic? What year is this? And no, he also can't get rid of Obelisk by using a kaiju monster. Let's say he/she uses Dogoron, the Mad Flame Kaiju. Well, he actually knows what a kaiju is. Nice. And tries to get rid of Obelisk by sacrificing him. Since Obelisk wouldn't be sacrificed in a normal way, but instead being targeted by the effect of a monster, simply nothing would have happened. What part of cannot be targeted by spells, traps, or card effects did you not understand? Well, my response to that is, what part of cannot be targeted by spells, traps, monster effects did you not understand? This whole paragraph is hilarious, and I think that paragraph is the main reason I wanted to make this video. You can see where this is sort of like the Reddit I am very smart type posts that people do, where it's like this guy thinks that he has sort of uncovered the true meaning behind these card effects. He sees a video with 1.3 million views and he says, I know better than all of these people, and this is it's so funny, because like to him, he's like, how has no one else seen the hypocrisy of this nobody plays Egyptian god cards video? How has no one called out that the cards can't be targeted, and now this guy's saying he can be destroyed by Dark Hole, and he doesn't realize, he doesn't think for like 2 seconds and say, maybe it's because he's wrong and not me. And it's just a really funny situation. Obviously, you have a whole bunch of stuff going on here. You have him saying that you Dark Hole targets, you have him saying the kaiju's target. As I explained, like I feel like in 1,000 videos at this point, if a card targets, it says the word target. It's actually just that simple. I won't say that too much more in this video, but just remember, guys, anytime cards say what they do, they don't really leave anything to ambiguity. Old cards sometimes did, but if it was printed after problem-solving card text, which at this point is the vast majority of cards, in those cases, the card always says what it does. It never leaves anything up to guesswork. Anyway, and then you go on into the aspects of Obelisk that only take action when you don't normal summon him, and for the very realistic case that a player won't use the special effects and just normal summons him, all of these points become obsolete, because as you explain, these drawbacks are pretty severe. So most likely no one would use them because you want to keep Obelisk. What he's referring to in this very short paragraph, which I guess is just 2 really long sentences, what he's saying here is basically, I shouldn't have even mentioned that you can special summon Obelisk because it's destroyed during the end phase. I don't think that's really a valid point. I think it is worth mentioning every single aspect of the cards, because if I didn't mention that, of course, I would have people commenting, well, you can just special summon Obelisk, and some of you might be saying, well, they can just read that it says that you can't, or that it's destroyed during the end phase. Obviously, comments like this show that people don't know how to read Yu-Gi-Oh cards at all. I really don't get what the problem is. Most problems are totally false and brought up in a very specific fictional scenarios. It is immune to every possible effect. No, it's not. And pure attack power will most likely not be enough to exceed Obelisk 4,000 attack, which means he can just F all over the enemies and at the end, you. Once again, this guy's so... I feel bad for people like this. Hopefully, I mean, obviously this guy isn't going to tournaments. I know he says at the very beginning of this very long comment that he hasn't played for probably 7 to 8 years. I would guess, I mean, I'm just throwing it out here, I would guess that when he was playing, he also was not very good at the game. Maybe he just played at locals, but honestly, like, after reading this comment, I think that I would guess he never went to a real life tournament and played with real people. I think he would have not had a very fun time doing that, playing against people that actually know how to play the game. Probably would be very frustrating for him. And lastly, with the new cards, it's probably different, but they are overpowered BS anyway that made me quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Entirely, because it's some chain link BS where you summon like 24 monsters and activate and connect 3 more spells and traps to basically play half of your deck in the first turn. Your graveyard and even the area where cards go to that are removed from the game have become obsolete as well. They just become exchange zones where you can put a monster that was put there by a card effect just to get it back in your deck / hand or on your field again in the same turn thanks to another 25 effect combo. I just want to say at the end of reading this entire comment that that last paragraph might seem crazy to you guys that maybe don't spend as much time reading YouTube comments on Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos. Honestly though, one of the funniest things about comments like this in particular, and I get them all the time obviously, especially on those bigger videos, whenever someone that hasn't played the game in like 10 or 15 years complains about the current metagame, it just brings joy to my heart because they haven't played and they haven't looked at any of the new decks, so they just sort of say these vague, ridiculous sort of statements that they're hoping are like kind of close to what's going on. And I just love those. I really do love those. Honestly, I get them all the time, and it's usually in the last paragraph of these really long comments where someone they want to sound smart, right? So they put out like, oh, the game has just gone to hell, and then here's why, but they don't really know why, so they just kind of guess. And these vague sort of last statements they just get me. I always love them. They're the perfect way to end a terrible comment. Anyway, though, I think I've spent way too much time analyzing this comment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I wasn't really planning on doing another comment video about the Egyptian God card video, but it's pretty much just the gift that keeps on giving. I know not everyone likes these videos where I read comments, but I think it's fun. I think it's not... people seem to misunderstand these videos and say that I'm getting tilted because of these. I'm getting angry because of these comments. Honestly, I just think they're hilarious, and I want to share them with my subscribers so you guys can maybe learn a little bit about the game and about the community that you might not interact with very often. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.